The book Character Compass was written by Scott Cedar. Cedar is an associate professor of education at Boston University, where his research focuses on the role of schools in fostering adolescents' civic and character development. He graduated from Harvard University with a degree in human development and psychology and another in education. He is highly informed and widely respected in his field and by his students. The book Character Compass won the American Educational Research Association's Outstanding Book Award in Moral Development and Education. The purpose of this book is to analyze three charter schools in the city of Boston: Boston Prep, Roxbury Prep, and Pacific Rim. All three of these schools share the common top priority of character and moral development. Each school, however, goes about this mission in a very different way. Boston Prep focuses its character education efforts on moral character. Roxbury Prep emphasizes performance character development, while Pacific Rim focuses on civic character development. Cedar wrote this book to not only see which character development strategies are the most effective, but he also intended to show the way each school succeeded using their specific strategy. Cedar states that after the No Child Left Behind Act was approved in 2001, character development became a low priority in comparison to the Common Core reading and math achievement scores. Although all three of these schools are charter schools, Cedar did not choose to study these schools based on that. He claims that he chose these schools because, quote, "these schools have built powerful and productive cultures atop three very different character foundations." And all the three schools cite success in college as the primary goal for their students, but their distinctive approaches to character development equip their respective student bodies with different sets of tools for achieving this goal. All three schools have become so appealing because their students' test scores on the Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System are competitive with students from some of the wealthiest communities in the state of Massachusetts. This testing system is considered to be one of the most rigorous high-stakes testing system in the country. Character Compass was written after Cedar spent the year of 2010 to 2011 exploring the three different practices of the schools. The research included surveying nearly 1,000 students across the three schools to measure how well they were fulfilling certain qualities. These qualities came to include integrity, perseverance, courage, compassion, social responsibility, community connectedness, and respect. Although these surveys were found to give insight into the nature of the students' character development, it lacked the why and how factors. This is why Cedar took it upon himself to interview students, parents, and teachers to get a deeper understanding of everyone's experiences at these schools. Let's take a closer look at each school and how they focus on character development.
Before we begin, we must define a few things. Martin Berkowitz, a developmental psychologist, defines character as a set of psychological characteristics that motivate and enable individuals to function as competent moral agents. In other words, character is the sum of an individual's thoughts, feelings, and actions. Furthermore, Berkowitz defines character education as intentional strategies within schools to foster children's capacities and motivations to act as moral agents. Boston Prep lists 5 key virtues to be the foundation of students' academic and character development. These virtues are courage, compassion, integrity, perseverance, and respect. The administration and staff at Boston Prep work to instill moral character in their students through community meetings, ethics classes, and a common language. Community meetings are held at Boston Prep on Tuesday mornings, where the students are organized by grade level. During the particular community meeting which Cedar references in Character Compass, the students engage in a game called MCAS Legacy, battling for the title of Most Improved. In this game, a student who greatly improved on their MCAS scores from the previous year is called up and the legacy is handed down from the last recipient. The title is something cherished and valued. The previous recipient stated, "I'm looking for someone who works hard, strives to be the best, and backs it up." The game show is comprised of one pretend example, usually a teacher being funny, and one actual student to show a contrast in values between someone who is fooling around and someone who really cares. Along with most other schools, Boston Prep has an academic integrity section of their student code, which lists that cheating and plagiarism represent breaches of community integrity and trust. Founding principal Amanda Gardner says, "It's called the Student Responsibility section. We tell students that if they know something unsafe is going to happen and they don't tell us about it, they are just as liable as the kid who actually does the thing. The students are given the choice of signing the code, saying they would snitch on their peers. Half the senior class refused, saying they would rather go to the student directly and tell them, 'This is not really helping your education.' The seniors said this would be more effective than going to the teacher and getting them suspended. Furthermore, the seniors had been doing a year-long project on developing a personal code of moral ethics, also known as the rules you live by. The fact that the students refused to sign this code indicates that they are very in touch with their personal values and committed to them. Every year at Boston Prep, the students engage in an ethics class. Ethics class depends on grade and grows deeper and more complex each year. In 6th grade, the students are introduced to the 5 values. Later, in 8th grade, the students examine how they see themselves and how they see society, what it means to be a good person, and to make hard choices. Finally, in high school, the students work to shape their own ethical values. The students write reflections every year about where they displayed a certain value, such as courage or honesty, or where they felt they could have done better at displaying the value. These reflections, or treaties, help the students articulate who they are and what they believe in. School-wide, there is a common vocabulary to discuss behaviors and misbehavior. If a student is sent to the office, they must first complete a written report of which virtues they were not following, and then discuss with the dean how they can do better to exemplify the virtue in the future. Students find they are praised often. 10th grader Jorge says, "You find yourself in the spotlight more, and teachers acknowledge your accomplishments more." In a school comprised of predominantly low-income students, many of whom have received a poor education their whole lives, it is not uncommon to find students who want to give up and don't think they are capable of excelling in school. To be praised for an example of compassion or integrity further emphasizes to students the way they should be acting. Boston Prep emphasizes an ultimate goal of attending a 4-year college. When they are taught the tools to succeed, a higher education feels way more attainable. Boston Prep also offers a virtual high school to its students. Since no school can teach every single class, advanced placement and specialty classes are available online to students. This gives them a unique experience of taking a college-level course while in high school. Students are treated with utmost respect and compassion by their teachers. Roxbury Prep engages in a unique opportunity, a school-wide assembly on public speaking hosted by students and judged by alumni. Students are randomly selected to come on stage and read their piece to the entire school. They then receive feedback from judges on clarity, voice, volume, etc. Public speaking is something many professionals struggle with, and with practice, Roxbury Prep students are able to gain the upper hand in the professional world. Additionally, community is emphasized at Roxbury Prep through other school-wide competitions, such as the competition during assembly to see which student could list the most digits of pi. Roxbury Prep emphasizes performance character, or the qualities such as effort, diligence, perseverance, a strong work ethic, a positive attitude, ingenuity, and self-discipline needed to realize one's potential for excellence in academics, co-curricular activities, the workplace, or any other area of endeavor. This is exemplified in the comprehension battle offered by the school. The comprehension battle allowed students to read a book with a group of peers during the school break. The students then competed with other groups to see which group was best able to comprehend the book. However, the battle was optional. Students had to decide before going on break whether or not they would be able to set time aside to read and comprehend the book. This allows the students to take their learning into their own hands and decide for themselves which enriching activities they would participate in. Because of opportunities like this, Roxbury Prep middle schoolers had higher perseverance scores at the end of the school year than the students at Boston Prep and Pacific Rim, which will be discussed later.
Pacific Rim is the third of 3 schools discussed in the book. Pacific Rim's #1 priority is civic character. It is in the heart of Boston, and the school's logo is two hemispheres layered over each other. This is supposed to symbolize where East meets West. The school's founding was based on the educational practices of Taiwan and Japan, along with educational practices from the West. Those of the East being high standards, discipline, and character education, while those of the West are diversity, creativity, and individualism. Pacific Rim focuses mainly on civic roles within their school. Teaching their students to be successful and cooperative members of a community is at the top of their priorities list. The school and its students exhibit behavior in the school and are encouraged to turn civic character into a lifestyle. Students at Pacific Rim from a young age are developing into global citizens of the world. One example of how this school exhibits civic and global character as their number one priority is when their principal spoke of how parents often ask her why their children are taught Mandarin instead of Spanish or a language that will help them develop within their individual communities. Her response to the question was, well, in the larger scale world, knowing Mandarin is really going to put them ahead if they stick with it, and if they merge into business or scholarly work, that's the future. Additionally, to add to the idea of global development, Cedar, in an interview done by Harvard EdCast, speaks of how students at Pacific Rim, once in their high school years, are often encouraged to host a student from an Asian country. This reinforces the school's East-West mentality, along with allowing the student to become more immersed, comfortable, and understanding of another's culture. Similar to the other schools we have discussed, Pacific Rim holds weekly meetings where an award is handed out to a certain student. At Pacific Rim, the award that is given out is the Kaizen Gambate Award. This, to no surprise, is given out to a student who exhibited civic behavior in their school and contributed to the community of Pacific Rim. Nevertheless, Pacific Rim separates itself from the two other schools because at these meetings, a plethora of other awards are given to other students as well, rather than a single student getting all of the attention and praise. It is also stated that usually around 12 students each month are recognized with the Kaizen Gambate Award.
Boston Prep, Roxbury Prep, and Pacific Rim are all very similar. All three schools are focused on college readiness and serve predominantly low-income students from the city of Boston. Their students are admitted via random registration lottery. The students from all three schools completed surveys at the beginning and end of each school year. These surveys were adapted from the Academic Motivation and Integrity Survey and listed questions like, I might cheat to get an A if I knew I wouldn't be caught. The students then answered according to the Likert scale, determining whether the answers were a lot like me, not like me at all, and everything in between. The results of these tests show the variation in school practices. The students at all three schools showed high levels of integrity before the school year started, i.e. before assignments began to pile up and before the debate of, do I study for my test or watch TV? Should I cheat to get an A? The study showed that Boston Prep students were more likely to maintain this integrity at the end of the school year. The integrity scores for the schools are displayed in Figure 2.1 and 2.2 on pages 50 and 51. Roxbury Prep students had higher perseverance scores at the end of the school year, which is displayed in Figure 4.1 on page 110. All schools give out a weekly award to a deserving student. The Spirit Stick at Roxbury Prep, Kaizen Gambate Award at Pacific Rim, Du Bois Award at Boston Prep. Additionally, all three schools are emerging from no excuses to teaching and learning. Because the teachers are aware that their students have a lot of ground to cover to narrow the achievement gap, they spend most of their lessons on building academic skills, and the questions they pose usually have right and wrong answers. Students at all three schools are given the opportunity to debate ethics with each other without it being one group looking down on the other. The students understand that individuals will share values but also will disagree. The three schools are also very different. While Boston Prep's focus is on moral character development, Roxbury Prep's focus is on performance character development. As stated previously, this resulted in Boston Prep students having higher integrity and Roxbury Prep students having higher perseverance. Each school's mission statement describes the small variations to their practice. Boston Prep declares its intent to prepare all students for college, but also describes its mission to cultivate students' moral character virtues as well. Pacific Rim explains their goal of empowering students to achieve their full intellectual and social potential. Roxbury Prep, on the other hand, is focused strictly on performance, reading, "The mission of Roxbury Preparatory Charter School is to prepare its students to enter, succeed in, and graduate from college." These goals and the achievements that come from them are not easy to accomplish. They take time, vigorous planning, and full commitment. Building on practices throughout the years seems to be one of the ways to have graduating seniors with developed characters and a pride in who they are. Additionally, allowing students to decide what they believe in rather than being told creates passionate and determined students who have fought for their beliefs and defended them before even leaving high school. So the question is, how can we incorporate these practices into our classrooms without the given resources of the specific schools? One way to do so is to teach students the definitions of courage, honesty, and compassion, and have them offer examples of what they think it looks like. Obviously, students of different age groups will offer different insights. For example, a kindergartner might say they were courageous when a bee landed on their hand and they didn't cry, while a sixth grader might say they were courageous when they stood up to a bully. Ethics lessons can be taught at all age groups if they are tailored to the emotional needs of the students. Additionally, as teachers, we could develop our own Special Improvement Award for our classrooms rather than it being school-wide. This achievement would not be a material reward for hard work, but rather a sense of pride and accomplishment awarded to a student who is dedicated to their work and showed improvement. Rather than having an entire student body in weekly awards, perhaps we could have monthly awards to shine a spotlight on students who are putting in the extra effort.
Thank you for pushing me beyond my limits.
Thank you for never giving up on me.
Thank you for believing that one day our effort will determine success.
Thank you for the love and the lessons.
I just want to say thank you for believing me and pushing me to my full potential.
Thank you for staying late and helping after school, even when you probably didn't even feel like it.
Thank you for always telling me I can, even when I swore I couldn't.
Thank you for your authenticity.
Thank you all for seeing the potential in me.
I just want to say thank you for always being there for me.
So thank you, you guys rock. Thank you, faculty.
I miss you guys all, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful year. Love, Berm.